Dude, get the fuck out of here. I know exactly what I'm doing with this.
You didn't join. You didn't join.
Dude,
Also,
I literally clicked the button the second it popped up.
is there a possible way that you could do something to where your big ass fucking head's not taking up the entire screen by chance? Like,
I mean, I'm sorry, I can't afford whatever tripod special thing from that company you work for.
all right, shut up. All right, here's the
I can
deal.
hold it a little far away if that works.
All right, that sounds good. Although that's not your good side. Your other side's a little better, I would say. But yeah. All right.
Can we get somebody else to do the interview?
Listen, get out of here, dude. You were pleading with me. You said, please do this. Please do this. I want to.
God.
All right. Shut up. Listen, this is what we're going to do. The whole purpose of this is like a really impromptu sort of like deal where we talk about Weekend Nachos Unforgivable. It's, I think, one of the, I think it's probably their best record. I think it's my go-to, my favorite record of theirs. Figured, I don't know, me and John have been friends for over 10 years. We've done a bunch of different things together, or we were in Spine together. I've toured with Nachos a few times. So I just figured, why don't we just like talk about it? There's a lot of like stuff that I think that people that are fans of Nachos and especially fans of this record that may not know about. And so figured this would be like a cool kind of time to do that. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a fucking YouTuber. So this is not super organized. It's super impromptu. I had like a few like, I kind of like a rubric of how I want to like go about it and do this, but yeah, so I'll just like set the stage real quick. So I met John in it might have been January of '09, I think, was at the Harm's Way gig in Lawrence. You guys stayed at Taylor's?
Was that before? Did you meet me before Unforgivable came out? I feel like we had to.
Yeah, we did. We did. So basically, we met, I think, January of that year. And then, yeah, I think after that, I probably didn't really talk to you again until after that record came out. But I remember, I'm pretty sure it was at that time where I think that's where I gave you a hard time for fucking playing Omaha twice and not playing Kansas City, which is like some Bush League bullshit. I didn't go to the gig because I was just like, this is fucking whack. I know Matt Cain went.
Dude, first of all, why the fuck would we play Kansas City?
All right.
It's one thing. It's one thing now that I'm like friends with you and like, you know, I know all your friends and they're my friends too and all that, you know. But at the time when you asked us to play Kansas City, like, why would we do that?
Yeah, because it kicks that. Why would you play Omaha twice? Like, no disrespect to Omaha, but would you play it twice?
I mean, I don't know, because honestly, we should have played Kansas City twice instead of Omaha even once.
Exactly. Point. That's the point, you know? So I think we talked then and about it. And then, like I said, I didn't talk to you again until like after that record came out. But before we get into Unforgivable, I want to say the first time that I listened to it, the first thing that I thought about was because Unforgivable came out in the fall, right? Fall of '09?
No, it came out right before MDF, so like probably in the spring, and we recorded it in the fall of '08.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Reality Approaches came out though in June, right?
So I'm able to see all these comments.
I'm not. I actually haven't paid attention. I'm sure there's a bunch of people trolling, but yeah, Reality Approaches. It came out in June or July?
I don't remember when that came out.
Oh, I think that came out in '08. Whatever the case is, I listened to Reality Approaches before I listened to Unforgivable. So I don't remember how the timing went with that. But I remember listening to Unforgivable and being like, damn, Nachos just straight up ripped off of like everything off of like Reality Approaches. And I'm like, well, John plays in both bands. So like, that's what it was, right? But like that was just like
what in the fucking shit are you talking about?
No, it's a very shallow like opinion, right? It was just initial, like first thing. I was like, damn, this kind of sounds like a Reality Approaches, like just the production, everything on it. And this wasn't really like really deep, digging really deep into it. But then obviously
picture that emoji where they're like,
house. I don't think I know that one. Which one is that one? So anyways, I listened to the record and I was just like, damn, this is like insane. Like the more I listened to it, it was just like, this is fucking crazy. We'll get into like certain tracks that I think like really like stood out for me. But as we get into Unforgivable, talk to us a little bit about like how Punish and Destroy was a real kind of, I would say more of like in the traditional realm of like what you would consider like a power balance record. And what was kind of your, I guess your creative process, like what were you thinking when you wanted to start writing for Unforgivable? What direction did you want to go in and why?
Well, an important thing to mention is that Punish and Destroy, that lineup basically fell apart around this time. So Unforgivable was like the very first output of the Weekend Nachos lineup that would continue for the rest of our time as a band. So we broke up in what, like, what the fuck was that?
It was my fucking dumbass dog. All right, come on,
don't be expecting some like, Oscar worthy performance from me on this thing if you're gonna be like smirking in the background, like, making all kinds of weird ass noises.
This stupid ass dog. My dog Mac, he's just being all right, let's go.
What's
Keep
your
going.
dog's name?
Mr. McAllister. Come on, let's go.
Mr. McAllister.
Mr. McAllister.
Anyone watching this knows that we're not going to talk about Weekend Nachos Unforgivable at all on this, right? But yeah, so
the lineups were different.
The Punish and Destroy lineup had completely like dissipated. So it was basically just me and Brian. And Brian, drummer, I kind of didn't even know if he was going to stick around because it kind of just felt like the band fell apart. And
Hold on. Get the fuck out of here. All right.
Dude, you got some serious problems, man. So yeah, Brian kind of stuck by me. And we decided to keep doing the band. And I was kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. But Drew, bass player, wanted to be in the band for some reason. I don't know why, but I worked with him, and I had known him since I was like 14 years old. And he wanted to play bass in the band. He didn't really play bass. He just wanted to be in the band, and got him in the band. We had been talking before Ross, previous guitarist, and Christian, previous bassist, before they left / got kicked out. We had been talking about adding Andy as a second guitarist. So Andy played on the Torture EP that's pretty much the demo in the Torture EP. And we had been talking about getting him back in the band. So when the lineup kind of fell apart, I just kind of asked him like, hey, do you still want to do this? And he was just like, yeah, it sounds good. So there we had a new lineup. Okay. And I kind of felt like I was kind of not wanting to do like another traditional power violence record, like Punish and Destroy. I knew that we were going to keep a lot of those elements. And I knew that like, there wasn't going to be like a major change in like how we did the band or anything like that. But, I definitely wanted to get darker, get heavier, try to bring in more influence from like, crust punk and like also like heavier hardcore, like Madball and Marauder and shit like that. So that's kind of like how the sound, dude, what
It's a dog.
You know that if you smile, I'm going to ask you why you're going to be.
Oh, God. No, okay. So the influences like crust punk.
We hated crust punk.
Butt flap punk, like, got it. All right.
There's an obvious, in my opinion, when I know when I was writing the songs, like there's an obvious like tragedy, kind of his hero is gone influence on Unforgivable for sure.
Yep, definitely.
And yeah, I just didn't really. Punish and Destroy is really fast. Weekend Nachos was always fast, but like, I don't know. I don't like Punish and Destroy really. I just don't really think it's a cool album. I think that Unforgivable is the best thing we ever did, and it's the first good thing that we did, in my opinion.
I would say that you're wrong. I think that Punish and Destroy and probably Unforgivable, probably personally, I think two of the best records. I mean, I wouldn't say, I guess take it back. I wouldn't say best, but I would say personally my two favorite ones out of the entire catalog because I felt like they both bridge two different eras of the band, I think. It's almost like sonically you guys went in a different direction a little bit with Unforgivable and the releases after that. But before it was a very like I don't know, it was just a super like more traditional power violence, like grittier kind of band. And I think that I mean, it's like a normal power violence like record in like the sense that you've got like fucking 50 songs on it, you know?
Right. I definitely think that like I would say that Unforgivable is grittier, but not in a way where it's like I don't know, the production is definitely better, but it's got that like there's just something like creepy about that album. Whereas Punish and Destroy is just like it's just energy, you know? Like it's like a lack of interest record or like an infest
Yeah.
record, you know?
Yep. Yep. I would agree.
And I think that it's awesome obviously when any album has like 25, 26 songs on it. But yeah, I was kind of just like sick of playing. I thought that was kind of boring. Like to do a record like that. I wanted to do something that was like I don't know, more artistic, I guess you could say. Like there's something more artistic as Nachos goes along, whereas like it was just kind of stripped down at first.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this probably goes on a little bit to like my next sort of like point that I'm trying to make. It's like I think like it's such a nihilistic record and probably like one of the bleakest records that I would say I frequently listen to. I think a lot of that stuff I think a lot of that stuff like I basically will take in kind of doses, you know what I mean? But like I listen to this record a ton. Um, is there a certain amount of motivation that went into that and like a thoughtfulness that went into making that record that way that you can kind of like draw from like when you were thinking about when you were writing the lyrics and you were like writing the music, was that something that like went through your head?
I mean, to be honest, like there's always been stages of my life where I've been, you know, like more depressed or feeling more hateful than other times in my life, you know, like, you know, it comes in waves. I don't consider myself someone that like necessarily suffers from depression, but there's definitely like periods of time where I'm happier than other times, right?
Yeah.
Unforgivable was absolutely written during a time when I was like intentionally just like spending a lot of time by myself in my apartment in Chicago and just like literally staring at the walls and like thinking, you know, maybe listening to some music here and there, but just like not really feeling like doing anything or seeing anybody. I don't know. I think that I just didn't feel like my life was really going anywhere. I didn't have like much of an idea of where like Weekend Nachos was going because of the fact that lineup had fallen apart. So getting the lineup back together was kind of what motivated me to finish writing those songs. But I remember when I was writing the songs for Unforgivable, I don't think the goal was necessarily to write a hateful, nihilistic record, but I was feeling in a way where I wanted to be able to pull out the deepest, most nihilistic and hateful feelings that I could and put that into an album. So it's more like, you know, I wasn't thinking like, okay, I really want this record to be hateful, but I was thinking like, I've got this negative energy inside me and I want to pull as much out of me as I can and put it into an album. And that's where Unforgivable came from.
Yeah, I mean, I think for people that like the record or enjoy the record, I should say, I think it's that's pretty apparent. And it's fucked up. I mean, it's a fucked up record.
Dude,
Which we'll get to.
I listen to it here and there, and I, you know, like go back and look at the lyrics sometimes, and I'm like, I honestly, I'm just like, man, like, how the fuck did that? How did I do that? Because it's like, I would say that it's not a record intended to make anybody feel particularly amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you might feel like a connection to it, which obviously helps certain people. It definitely helps me when I listen to like Blood for Blood or like Cold as Life, you know, something that's very, very, very bleak and disturbing almost. That helps me, and it in turn makes me happier knowing that I can relate to that, you know. But yeah, sometimes I go back and look at it. I'm just like, man, this record is fucking weird. You know, like
It's
even the artwork is like just kind of like stupidly morbid.
I don't know, like I've never done this before for obvious reasons, but it would be interesting to see me present this record as a whole to a person like a normie that has like no background of like really any like punk hardcore, like any like extreme music in general, like and just be like, here's the record, like take it all in, read the lyrics, like listen to the music. I'd love to see like how that would how that would go over, you know what I mean? Because it's just
Yeah.
like
They'd be like, oh my God, what is he okay? Oh my God, why would anyone write that?
yeah, no, and
And
then
and then they would go outside and get struck by lightning, and I'd laugh, and that'd be awesome.
yeah, they'd probably staple a set list to your chest. All right. So so
Oh man.
before we get into the songs, I'm going to talk a little bit about, was the production intentional on this? Like meaning like did you want it to did you work with, because Andy recorded it, right?
Yeah, Andy recorded it, and he also, like I said, had recently rejoined the band. So
Yeah.
um, the songs, they were not as, there's still fast parts on it, but nobody would say, "Oh, that Unforgivable record is so fast." That's not what you would say about it, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely like it's definitely slower, than previous Nacho stuff, like as a whole. And it's heavier. The riffs are heavier. The ideas behind the songs, it was all supposed to be a lot heavier. And Andy and I definitely talked about that. So I even, when Andy rejoined the band, like he hadn't heard any of the songs I wrote yet, and I had written 11 of them already. And then the 12th song, Unforgivable, was written in the studio. So that there was only that was the only song that I hadn't written yet. But I had the lyrics written. But I definitely discussed with Andy, like, look, I want this to be like way heavier than previous Nacho stuff. Like, there's like a heavy tone on Torture and Punish and Destroy, but I wanted this record to just be like you hit the floor when you hear it, like it just like knocks you over,
Yep.
So that's it was definitely intentional for it to be as heavy as it is, because I mean I've gone back and listened to it and it's like it's still heavy, like there's times when I listen to something that I may have done in the past and I'm like, oh, I wonder if this holds up, or I wonder if it still sounds good, and I might be like, it sounds okay, but it doesn't sound as cool as we thought it did when it came out, right? But Unforgivable is one of those things that like I am like happy to say, like you listen to it and it's like, oh yeah, this is heavy still.
Yeah, I mean it's just straight up full of like straight up like fat boy riffs, you know what I mean? Like just fucking like fat boy flat bill riffs, you know what I mean?
Fat burger stomp.
Like but not to go off on another tangent, but like those core group of guys, Andy, Drew, Brian, and you, there's pieces where you guys definitely evolved from Unforgivable on later releases. I don't know, and I don't mean anything by this, but I don't know if you could have done what you did with a different group of guys. Like I don't know if you could have, honestly, especially what like Andy and Drew and Brian bring to the band too. I just don't know if it would have went the way that it did.
I think that having Andy back in the band played a major part in this, because I don't know, there was just, Andy is a person that is always very involved in every single record that he does, right? So, I mean, he like dives right into it, and that's one of the things I admire about Andy is it doesn't matter who the fuck's in his studio. You know, he loves his work. He takes a lot of pride in it, and like he's not gonna just be like, oh, this band fucking sucks, so I'm not gonna like work hard on it. You know, he'll literally just be like, okay, I'm involved. Like for the 4 days or 5 days or whatever, or a week that I'm recording this, like I might as well be in the band with these guys. You know, so having him. He was involved when he recorded Punish and Destroy when he actually wasn't in. We've recorded everything with Andy, right? So he wasn't really in the band when Punish and Destroy was recorded. But he was still involved in it. But there was just something different about having him back in the band when we recorded Unforgivable. I just felt him have even, it's like almost like he had double the connection to the production of it. You know, and like he really, really like was in touch with like what I wanted it to sound like, but it's like at that point it's what do we want it to sound like? You know, it's not about necessarily what I want it to sound like. You're back in the band, like what do we want it to sound like? So yeah, I remember recording that and thinking like, man, Andy is really, really fucking good at this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I remember
Definitely.
like always thinking that, you know, whenever like I'd record with him in the past, but like I remember this being a turning point in Andy's like just musical engineering career. You know, like I could feel it. Like this record is like produced differently than anything that Andy's done before. I think he would agree too. I don't know if he's watching this or if he will watch this, but like I think he would have some thoughts on this. You know,
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Andy brought also like especially some other influences I think into the band that really helped continue the band to grow on later releases. So that's why like you could really listen to the releases after this and hear growth and not hear the same record. You know what I mean? Which like I guess in your case you can argue with like Punish and Destroy, the releases prior to that are just kind of like rinse and repeats a little bit and not a ton of growth there, you know? So whereas this is like kind of a bigger jump. So
it's interesting because like to mention this, like you wouldn't be able to not mention like A-Ross, previous guitarist, right?
yeah.
The difference between A-Ross and Andy is like Andy is first and foremost, like I would say he's a musician. I mean, he's definitely an artist. You know, he's got like a million good ideas. He writes his own music that's awesome. But Andy, put it this way, Aaron is the dude that will like do a flip off of his speaker and like jump off of a cliff naked. And like fucking, you know, like he's the dude that'll be like, all right, so like, you know, what are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go? Like, you know, fucking, I don't know. I guess I was gonna say jump off a cliff, but I'm like, Aaron's nuts, dude. He gave me a haircut in the middle of a forest once with like babysitters.
The best.
That's what A-Ross is, right? I mean, he is the best. He's the greatest of all time. In his own
Chicago's hardest mosher, remember?
Oh yeah, dude. How many people do you know that would see Harm's Way and see James take his shirt off and then think, you know what, I'm gonna take my shirt off too? I think it was the first or second Harm's Way show we're playing. James takes his shirt off. He like literally crushes the microphone with his hand. He's like he crushes the mic. They had to get another mic because James crushed it in the palm of his hands. But he took his shirt off, and then A-Ross just standing there looking like someone in like fucking mustard plug or something. You know? Like takes his shirt off and starts skanking around the room, like literally like he's at a mustard plug show or something.
Oh shit, that's funny.
This is at a Harm's Way show. Anyway,
the best.
Point is that, you know. So that's A-Ross, right? He's like my fun, crazy friend, you know, and he was a part of the 2 longest Weekend Nachos tours. You know, we did everything in like a 3-year period. Like we did all of it, right? Andy is he's the guy that will fix anybody's guitar tone. You know, he like came in and like all of a sudden now we have like a musician in the band that's gonna like make us sound like the heaviest band ever, you know? So that's the difference between the 2 guitarists, but I mean, both amazing in their own right, you know?
Yep, definitely. So one last thing before we go into the actual songs. Mitch posted, another Nachos head, posted like his Unforgivable collection.
Wait,
Unfortunately,
side note on Mitch. Dude, Mitch has literally been into Weekend Nachos since like that
demo.
Yeah,
the
like,
demo.
but not
Yeah.
even like, you know, some people can be like, oh yeah, I remember when that demo came out. Like, dude, Mitch was like, him and I were like talking about the demo, I feel. You know, like that dude has just been a lifer since day one. Anyway, continue.
He's the man. And
Yeah.
we've had a lot of Nachos conversations. We've been around each other like a few times at Nacho gigs, and that's how I met Mitch. But he had posted his Unforgivable collection, which I like reposted because it's fucking impressive. I also collect Nacho stuff, Nacho records specifically, but I stopped probably before Apology came out, and a lot of it had to do because you fucking press all these different fucking colors for every damn thing, so I can't ever like. There's like 17 versions of Punish and Destroy, and it's just like, all right, like,
Dude, I
this
had
is.
nothing to fucking do with that.
I don't believe it, but Unforgivable has.
You'll never believe it, but I had absolutely nothing to fucking do with that.
Listen, dude,
nothing. Like literally nothing.
I don't know how you couldn't have anything to do with it. Like you
Well,
talk to a guy, you talk to the guy and just
third,
say, I just want black from now on. You were requesting record black.
The third press of that was actually, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna like talk any shit or anything, but the dude that pressed that, like I actually asked him, just do one color or black. Like it doesn't matter to me, but just do one color. And to save some money, he did the garbage vinyl thing where they like kind of just throw whatever extra colors like they have in the mixer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the third press of Punish and Destroy with the yellow letters on the front, you know. That's why there's like 80 billion different. I mean, you literally can't collect it. But it
just like, I don't know, it just wasn't as fun because of it, to be honest. So like what I tried to do is I tried to get as much as I could in that regard, but then after that it was like done. And then I've been lucky. You've given me, I think I bought Black Earth from A389, like the test press of that. And then we did the infamous trade for Punish and Destroy, which you still think that you kind of got like gypped on that, but like,
wait a second. What?
Remember, it was, you gave me Punish and Destroy for Chain of Strength, True Till Death 7-inch. Remember?
Oh yeah, no. Dude, the only reason I thought that I got slighted on that was more so just because you traded me True Till Death, but what holds us apart is the infinitely better of the two chains.
Yeah, I agree, but you wanted that. So you then tried to like pull the whole like, man, I don't really think I want to do this trade anymore.
Great impression.
Yeah.
So you were like, dude, here's the thing, man. Listen, man.
All right.
Here's the thing. I've got these True Till Death 7-inches, so I got to give you those.
Listen, I'm gonna, if I could mute you right now, I would, but I can't. So let's just keep this going because I don't want this to be like an hour long and people are like, this fucking sucks. All right.
They can leave at any time. I say we talk all night.
So listen, I've got three editions here, right? So I've got the Lottie edition where he put like some stupid thing in it. I think it's just black.
I haven't seen it in forever.
I think it's black. Let me find it. Let me see which one it is.
This is taking too long, dude.
No, look, this thing, whatever this is.
Oh, it's like some kind of, what's that?
So I think there's 6 of these.
Yeah, there's literally only 6 of those. I don't even know how you have one.
So I bought, you know who I bought it from? I think I bought it from either Diego or I bought it from Schumann.
Wasn't it Ryan Lowry? I thought you bought it from Ryan Lowry.
No, it wasn't Ryan Lowry. So there's that, and then I think this is just on blue or transparent blue. No, this is black. And then the other one, yeah, it's on black. I mean,
you know what? I think he did that right when the record came out.
No, I think this was for the record release, dude.
Yeah, well, exactly. Right around the time it came out, because black is the most limited version that exists of that album. Oh, there's only 300 on. There's only 300 on black, and there's like several thousand on any other color, but that's it.
Got it. Yeah, because then I have the other pressing. So I've got the Final Show one that I bought at the gig. I think I did merch for you. I did merch for you guys the first night. So I bought those. Was it Punish and Destroy that we didn't have the covers in, and I was able to get that one like after the fact, right?
That's the night you stole my Nightmare on Elm Street shirt.
Oh, shut the fuck up. And then this one, I don't remember where I got this one, but apparently someone paid $9.99 too much for this piece of shit. But
I agree, 100%.
but like real quick, this is the one on like transparent blue.
Yeah.
Can,
That's still a first press. So anything that's on blue or black is a first press.
and the green one is
Anything that's on red is the second press of 1,000, and then the third press was, I believe, green.
yeah, I think it was green.
And then I don't know after that. I don't know if he kept pressing it or not. I just know at least 3,000 exist.
Yeah, so as we start talking about like the record more in depth, those are just the pressings that I have. You can check out my story, the Mitch's collection. It's way more comprehensive. But I'm hopefully getting a Punish and or Unforgivable test, which would be really nice. So make it happen, Captain.
I don't know, man.
Shut up.
If you have a copy of what holds us apart, I'll do it.
Okay, I do actually. I will give it to you.
Are you gonna trade me that for
I
the
will.
test?
I will do it.
Okay, I'll take Victim in Pain on Rat Cage.
Shut the fuck up. All right, look. Talk about the cover of the record. So first of all, what is this image? Where did you get it? Is this like an infamous Google image? Is there any story behind this at all?
That's exactly what it is. I was trying to. It didn't take me long to find that, but it didn't take me long to.
What did you type in? Just say what you typed in.
I put severed head in Google Images. And, a bunch of pictures of severed heads came up. I tried to find, the ones with like the highest res,
Yeah, this one being the highest res that you could get.
Dude, I came across the severed head of a child, and I was like, well, obviously this is the one to use,
Yeah, why not?
No way I'm using anything else. So there you have it.
Seriously, goes to rotten.com once for all you fucking old heads.
I was more of a fan of ogreish.com. My favorite was the video of them clubbing the baby seals or whatever.
Jesus Christ. I do not condone. All right, let's talk about the...
Dude, shut the fuck up,
man. Let's talk about the logo, okay?
Where's your disclaimer, man?
Talk about the logo. Where'd you do that? Did you do that? Someone do that for you?
I did it. I did it in Photoshop. I kind of just ripped off Rise and Falls logo for that.
Oh, nice.
If you think about if you can picture like what Rise and Falls logo looks like, it's kind of similar.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Could you tell everyone or confirm to everyone that this is still the same Photoshop that you're currently still using to this date?
Dude, it definitely is. The reason I haven't gotten rid of that laptop yet is because it has Photoshop on it. It's actually Aros gave me that version of Photoshop in like 1999. Still works. Right. I just made a cyborg layout with it like a week ago.
Really?
Yeah, because we're gonna do the cyborg discography on Deep Six.
Yeah, you did. You did say that. That's actually really cool. Nice. Okay, great. And then who is this person on the back? Same thing. Google image.
Dude,
is this your noisy neighbor?
So that, I don't know if this is quite literally, I looked up I think Asian grandmother or something on Google image search. Because I wanted to, because Brian is half Chinese, and I wanted to put a picture of an old lady on the back that looked like she might be related to Brian. So that's what that is.
I mean, I figured that might have been the case.
It's some old Asian lady that's from a dynasty or something. I just remember pulling it up, and it's just somebody from another time period. And I was like, people aren't gonna really understand this, but it's funny between me and Brian. So,
well, good. I'm glad you guys had a good laugh out of it.
I don't know if anyone laughed but me, but yeah.
Also, who took this promo photo of you guys? Aros?
No. Although I'm sure Aros took 2,000 other pictures that day. But yeah, this girl Isabel that lived with Drew at the time took that picture, and we took it upstairs. There was this creepy attic in the apartment he lived in that was huge. It was it was like the attic of the entire building that they lived in, and it was just like it was basically like an empty floor of a warehouse with like all kinds of garbage up there. So that's where we took the picture.
So as we look at the photo here, can you tell me, were you getting ready to sneeze, and what is Drew looking at?
Drew, I remember Drew thought it would be really cool if he didn't look directly at the camera. That's all that is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of makes it way less cool.
Definitely not as cool.
But like I don't know why I made that face.
You typically make really stupid faces. So
funny. I'm making a stupid face right now.
Yeah. You look like a turtle. All right. So let's this is the first Deep Six record, right?
What's that? Like the first one that we did on Deep Six?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
I remember
working with Bob was cool. I mean, he did basically everything.
Yeah.
Every record after that.
Yeah, working with Bob is just like amazing because like he's just like your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I hit him up and I was like, hey, like, because we had played with Lack of Interest in LA on our first tour. No, on our first, like when we went out to California for the first time with In Disgust, we did 4 shows. This is like way back, like when like the Torture EP was out and that was it. And it was like the very first lineup of Weekend Nachos. We did a California tour with In Disgust and played with Lack of Interest, and that's why I met Bob. And that's how I got to know him. And I just emailed him one day, and I'm like, hey, we got a new album. Like, are you interested in putting it out? And he was just like, yeah, it sounds great. Easy as that.
And then there you go.
Yep, that's it.
Bob is really cool. I wish Bob would put out records for me.
Maybe you should send him one of your press releases with like your music video or whatever and your art show.
That would be cool, man. Honestly, like it could be like a real big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
All right, so let's talk about the tracks. So I think that the record blends like really, really fucking well. Like the songs kind of come and go. It's just like got a certain like ambiance to it. Like I would say like really like the first 4 tracks and like pretty much like kind of just go in and out like very, very smoothly, right? So let's talk a little bit about like Elevated Tracks and Unholy Victory. Specifically, is Unholy Victory like more of a continuation of some of those religious themes from kind of like stuff that was like on the Torture EP and then Punish and Destroy, or like what was like the kind of thought process behind like that song lyrically?
I would say that song lyrically is definitely like the closest connection to like what I was mostly writing lyrics about around the Torture and Punish and Destroy days. We had that song, The End of Your Faith, which is the first song after the intro on Torture. And it's basically about the same thing, you know, just like hating Christians and like, I mean, I would say it's mostly about hating religion, but you know, I just always felt it was easier to just pick on Christianity, you know.
Yeah.
Why not? Fuck them to this day. But yeah, I mean, we that's what that song's about, is basically about just like ending religion, you know, and like, you know, murdering priests and burning down churches and shit, and just, you know, fine, you're gonna completely fuck up humanity, well, then we're gonna fuck you up, motherfucker.
Tit for tat, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, actually.
It's the end of religion, the end of your faith. You know what I mean?
I think the line, as priests and nuns are burned at the stake, this is the end of religion, the end of your faith.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
I'm
fucking
not gonna
hard.
lie and say I'm not happy I wrote that. You know.
It kind of goes back to like what I'm saying. Like this is like a fucking psychotic record. I mean,
that's one of those lines that you could show to like a normie, you know.
Yeah.
And they'd have to do a double take. They'd be like,
oh, easily.
Especially because like there's like a tongue-in-cheekness to like hardcore, you know.
Yep.
You know, like a band like Left 4 Dead has like a shirt that says like I want to see a murder contest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody in hardcore thinks like, oh shit, we better turn that guy in.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna fucking kill somebody, you know. But it's like that doesn't really compute to somebody at like, you know, a law firm or some shit, you know.
Yep.
So it's funny to think about like somebody picking up the lyric sheet to Unforgivable and thinking like, oh, I better call I better call the police, you know? It'd be awesome if I got arrested.
It would be. It would be awesome. That would be cool. Just in general, if you got arrested.
And like I picture me going out in cuffs, you know, and then like they're videotaping it, and then I all of a sudden like the camera zooms in and I look at it, I'm like, I live for this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably give you enough content for a new Nachos record, honestly. So
yeah, oh man, thinking about me in prison, that would I think I'd just disintegrate.
I think so too.
The first day. I would like walk through the doors and just like combust into like the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would say it would be surprising if you made it 3 hours in a prison.
Dude, seriously, 3 hours. I feel like by the
3 hours too long.
By the third hour, I'd be like, why haven't I been killed yet?
Is someone going to shank me already?
I'd be like, do these guys have the day off or something? Like, what's going on?
All right. Pain Over Acceptance. Track after that.
You missed 2009, which is like the
Oh, yes, 2009, the opening for the record.
yeah, it's just
So that, but see, 2009 like sets kind of like the tone of like what you're getting to. Like sonically, it kind of like just kind of like sets the record of like what you're about to get into, right? And
I think so. I think the very beginning is like, it's one of those things where like, you know, The Killer, better judged by 12 than carried by 6, you know?
Yep.
You hear that opening siren, you know?
Yeah.
It's the very worst of human nature. That intro, it's like iconic for Chicago hardcore, right? I mean, like, you know, whoever knows, you know?
Yep.
But the second, I mean, they start their sets out with it, you know, that siren comes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at the beginning of Unforgivable, there's like some noise right away. I think Drew, we got that noise from Drew, just like hitting all these bass strings at once, and like we kind of distorted it, you know. And there's like eerie feedback, and then there's that sample with the chant, you know. And yeah, it's just kind of like that intense buildup that it kind of sets the tone for the whole thing.
Yeah, and then the snares come in, and then just everything just it's like you're fucking in it. You know what I mean? So like you're kind of committed, and like and that's why like I was saying like I think the record blends really well because you'll start listening to the first track, and next thing you know you're at the middle of the record. Nights is playing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like it's really cool. There's not a lot of records that can do that and pull that off, but this one certainly does. So let's talk Pain Over Acceptance, right? So to me, this is like the Nachos anthem, right? I mean, people will say Jack Power Violence, so you know, whatever, but like this is the anthem right here, Pain Over Acceptance. It's like a motto. It's like it's what I'd like to call like what I think what we'll see in 20 years. You won't see the Live, Laugh, Love posters and fucking merch. It'll just be Pain Over Acceptance merch. You know, you'll just be putting up signs with flowers that say Pain Over Acceptance, right? So like
Unbroken is a band that I've literally never listened to, but I've just hated them for 20 years.
Well, there you go.
I don't know what they sound like. I think I saw like a song of theirs at the Burning Fight show, but I'm not going to fucking listen to Unbroken. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, go on.
Why not?
Why the fuck would I listen to Unbroken? Like, anyone that's hung out with me for like 2 seconds could be like, yeah, John's never listening to fucking Unbroken.
All right. Listen, Unbroken super fan. Let's keep this rolling. All right. So, Pain Over Acceptance, straight up motto, way of life. What inspiration, I don't know if I'd say inspiration, or what caused you to write this song? Like, and what was going through your mind during this time?
It's like you're talking about the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I mean, like, it's just a very, very, very personal song about like not only not wanting to, like, not fitting in, you know, like not being like a part of society really, or feeling like I am, you know, but like if you know who you are and you're like kind of like coming into your own and figuring yourself out, you know, if you're doing that the way that's true to yourself, like you start to embrace like the pain that comes with that. You know, like it doesn't become about like, oh shit, I really wish that these people liked me. You know, it's like more like, I'm glad they don't fucking like me. You know, like I'm glad that I'm me and that nobody fucking likes me. You know, and I mean, you know, it's still in 2020, nobody fucking likes me. But yeah, my wife doesn't even like me. But you know, that's basically what that song's about. You know, like I'm willing to go through whatever I have to go through to still just not conform to whatever this bullshit is, you know?
Mm.
And like, you know, it hasn't been lost on me over the years that like maybe there's a reason that I don't feel any connection with like society or like most human beings, you know? That could be just a problem that I have. But regardless, it's just like always how I felt, you know, since I was a kid. Pain over acceptance is like, was just my way of saying like, look, like I'm going to live this life, and like whatever hurts from it, like I'm going to embrace that. It's worth it. It's worth not bowing down.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I say it's a motto. It's a way of life. It's the, it will be the new live, laugh, love poster in all the moms' houses in like the next like 20 years, man. Like it's going to be big. It's going to be
That'd
huge.
be sick.
Yeah. No,
That'd be sick.
I think pain over acceptance, like all jokes aside, I think it's just like, it's almost like mentally unstable person decided to write that song, and it just so happened to connect with a bunch of other like actual psychos. You know what I mean?
That's
So
basically what Weekend Nachos is.
yeah, in a nutshell, right?
It's like, yeah, definitely. I agree.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna skip a few songs. Let's go to Nights. Okay. I want to talk about Nights because I think Nights is an incredible track. I think kicks off side B perfectly. I want to know. Dan did vocals for that. I was like fortunate enough a few times to see him actually do those, do his part at a few Nacho shows.
He did it at the first Spine show, right, with Plan of Attack and
Yeah, and he
Cyborg
did.
and Weekend
I
Nachos,
think
right?
he did for the. He did for when you guys were playing Bleed and Sorry Excuse played in the Albion House. You guys
He was
played.
at that and did that part?
Yeah, I think you guys played Nights and he did it. He did. That was the first time. And then when we did the benefit show for the first Spine gig, we did the benefit show for him, for his family.
That was such a fun night.
It was awesome.
Nobody talks about that show.
No, luckily I think I've got like 2 or 3 posters still from that gig. I need to frame them, but it was it was awesome. Like it was a really fun. You played like
weird.
4 sets or something like that night.
Yeah, I played in every single band, but like nobody talks about that show for some reason. But it was like a fucking unbelievable night.
It was fun.
I mean, like the vibe in the air, like, you know, that was a benefit show because Dan, you know, it was for Dan's family.
Yeah.
I won't go into like, you know, the tragedy, but that was, you know, we wanted to help him out. I had no interest in doing a Plan of Attack set, you know, but that's how they got me. They're just like, hey, let's do it for Dan. They wanted to do it. I didn't want to do it. And then I was like, oh, I'm not going to say no now. So fuck you guys. But anyway, I'm getting
we don't have to go down this part of the road, but we could at some point in time we could always discuss how you tried to auction off your edge at that gig. But let's not do that today. All right, that's
an entirely other night.
Let's be nice. Let's be nice. Okay.
I don't give a shit. I'll talk about it. I'm glad it didn't happen.
All right, I don't want to talk about it because it's like I know it brings up a lot of memories for you about trying to sell your edge and stuff like that. So
you are the tryhard of tryhards.
All right, listen, Nights. Did you write the song for Dan to sing on it, or did it just so happen to where it just made the most sense? You know, at this time, Left Hand Path did Left Hand Path break up then, or they broke up? They played their final show, that Mags and Marauder show, I think was the last Left Hand Path show. So that might have been 2011 or 2010.
Left Hand Path I think had been like done by then.
Okay.
But Yeah, we definitely didn't write that song for him. I mean, I wrote it, but I, like that, there was a part that would. I remember we were thinking like we should get somebody else to do vocals over this part because it's like it sounds like Can't Stop Won't Stop Madball, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that Can't Stop Won't
Yeah.
Stop, that part's in the middle of it, and we just were like we should have like one of our friends do like some kind of like hard ass like rap part over this, and like we thought of Dan, like I think Andy was just like we should have Dan do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like yes, that would be awesome. Uh, so yeah, that's how that came about. We didn't write it for him, but it just clicked, you know.
Got it.
The riff of that song, the main riff, like the the verse riff, is actually a Madonna song.
Really? What
Yeah,
Madonna song?
Live to Tell. That's I just took the melody of Live to Tell and made it into like a crust punk riff.
That's
Basically.
actually sick. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to, and I gotta listen to it just to kind of compare the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should listen to it because you'll be able to pick it up.
Was Nights about anything specific?
It's kind of more like, remember I was telling you like around that time I would just like literally stare at the walls of my apartment, just like not do anything, and like it was just like this is like kind of what I need to do for whatever reason right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can read the lyrics, but it's like basically about that, like just like endless nights of
Yeah.
isolation, forced isolation, and just like you kind of like don't really know what's wrong, but you know that something is wrong, but you also know it's just kind of like what you have to do, you know.
Yeah.
There's not really any like life event that like triggered your depression, but it's just like I don't want to fucking see anybody. I don't want to smile, you know. I don't want to share any experiences with anybody. Like this is just like me and in my cage, you know. That's basically what that song's about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's every time I got to see it live, especially with Dan, was incredible. It's just a hard ass song, especially when Dan comes in and does his part. Like it's
It's funny because
I'm
we
pretty
kind of
sure
thought that
I
was
did see A Ross mosh during one of the times Dan did that part. It was
he,
cool.
and you know what? He probably was just doing the same like ska skank
The
that he
ska
always
skank.
does.
Yep.
God, what a legend. But yeah, that the rap part that Dan does, like we originally kind of thought like, oh, this will be sick, but it will be kind of funny, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, there's really nothing funny about it. Like when you listen to it, it doesn't sound cheesy or
No, not
it
at all.
just sounds like vicious, you know, and it sounds cool. And I'm really glad that that's what ended up happening because I definitely did not want any of Unforgivable to be funny. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
worked
definitely. Yeah, so that song goes right into Rejected Psychopath, which is like probably one of my all-time favorite Nacho songs. I don't really know why, because I don't think it's a song that a lot of people are like, this is like in my top 5 Nacho songs. I just have always loved just how hard that track was. The lyrics are just like insane. Like who
out.
fucking could write this stupid shit, you know? Like this is
Yeah,
nuts.
that song is stupid, dude.
But the thing that's awesome about it is James's vocal part is crazy. Like before I even knew what the lyrics were for it, I just made up my own, kind of like I've done for Snowball Fight, which
Dude, this is
but
yeah, this is you with like a poster of James on your wall, like with a heart around it. Like, dude, you're a fucking nerd, man.
so James does the part on it, and it's hard as hell. Like you'll never escape this. Like it's insane. So I don't know. It just always kind of stuck with me to the point to where like I don't think James was doing that part live, and I would just be like, if I was at like a gig, I'd be like, if you guys are playing it, I want to do it. Like it's like that's how much I love that track. You know.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about like Rejected Psychopath and why you wrote that song and like what was kind of going into that? Because I think that song seems to have a little bit, that song and the song after that we'll get to, but this song, you know, definitely seems like it's got some sort of like deeper meaning behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that song about just like the idea of just like having a bad breakup and like killing your ex, basically. I mean, that's what the song's about. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny because I'm looking down and I'm seeing a comment from Neil, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of ironic. I looked down right about it. That's just totally a song that Neil would write.
Oh, actually, that could definitely be like a
I mean,
no
that's
class
no
track for
class
sure.
right there.
Yeah,
That's no
for sure.
class right there.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, to be honest, those lyrics are kind of like some fucking weird like incel bullshit kind of. Like it's like I it's a cool song because it's like fucked up or whatever, and like it kind of like goes along with this idea like I'm gonna write these songs that just like not many other people would write. But it's a cool song. It's just about that basically.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it kind of follows the theme with the rest of the record, really, right? So then, after,
It kind of paints a. I kind of feel like the album is like somewhat of a concept album because it just paints a picture of like a person just like out of their head, like just like out of their minds, like really, really confused and broken and just like you can kind of like bring all the songs to that point,
mm-hmm.
So that kind of fits with that.
Definitely. Yep. No, I'm with it for real. Because that song then goes into probably the most psychotic song on the record. Like, hands down, like I would say, sorry if anyone like doesn't like this term, but it's like straight up mass murder soundtrack music. Shot in the Head is like you could get arrested for this song. Like this, you probably should get arrested for this song. This song brings out, I think the part where Andy does this part before you say, where he says, you breathe like everyone else, motherfucker, and then you hit a ding and you go, at that point in time, that little space of air that exists, the only thing that you should be able to hear are just knuckles being like embedded in people's eye sockets. Like,
dude, I've literally seen that like every time we play.
Well, I mean, I know that like anytime I'd heard it, I was always just going nuts. Like it brings out it just brings out a certain level of recklessness when you hear the song, both lyrically and musically, that it's just like kind of unparalleled. And I may even like go as far to say that like I don't think there's any other tracks that you guys have done that do that have that same effect. I think at least on me personally, like I just want to hurt someone. Like, I'm not like a person. I don't really want to hurt people, but I hear this and I just want to hurt anyone and anybody that's in my sight. Like, and if I break a bone while doing it, like, I mean, whatever, sue me, right? But like, it's an insane track. Like, what the fuck were you thinking when you wrote this? Like, what was like what caused you to write this song and literally have, like, for lack of a better term, the chorus of you saying "shot in the fucking head"? Like,
it's so I mean, first of all, I wrote the song about this idea, like, so there was like a lot of hyped up bands at this time, right, in hardcore, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you try to get, if you try to get me to name a single band that song's about, I'm not going to do it. So whatever. But just, thinking about like hyped up bands, being like the next big
hold
thing.
Hold on. This thing's ending in 14 seconds. I have to redo it. I have to redo it, and then we can finish it out because we just have like a few more. All right, hold on. I have to redo this.
Cool, bro.
All right, so so let's finish talking real quick on "Shot in the Head."
Yeah, it is a very, very, it's a very, very not good song. Like, I mean, it's a great song, but yeah, it's a man basically wrote it about. That's what I was saying. There's a bunch of hype bands at this time. I mean, that's always been how hardcore is, but I was just getting really fucking sick of it, to be honest. Like, you're hearing about these bands that just like, they think that they're fucking cool. They, a lot of them were reportedly like going on tour and like trashing people's houses they would stay with, or like treating girls like shit, and like, it's like these dudes here obviously have this like god complex, and they're like fucking 20 years old,
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, no one fucking cares, like, people care, but it's like no one fucking cares,
Sure.
So just getting really sick of all that, I decided to write a song about how sick it would be to, just hang out on the balcony of one of these fucking shows and just fucking wipe them all out, fuck it. So that's a really, really, really messed up things to write a song about, and like,
Yeah.
if I'm just to get real for a second, like it's happened, like that happened to fucking Dimebag, like it's not funny. It's not cool. Weekend Nachos was a band that just wrote songs about shit, and
Yeah.
like it was an expression of, things that a lot of people feel in the moment when they're feeling fucked up, and that's why it's good to have. I mean, a band like Slayer, for example, like that was like groundbreaking shit when it comes to like disturbing lyrics, imagery, whatever, it's like people need that. You need dark art, so just saying, it's not really a disclaimer, but it's more like it's not lost on me that like you shouldn't joke about like shooting someone,
Yeah.
you really shouldn't. It's not, and it's not a joke, but it's also like it's definitely something that I was feeling, and I have no regrets about writing that song, obviously. So.
And you have no regrets, or in I guess in this case it would be a regret, but you have no regrets playing it. So if you guys were to play tomorrow, would you still play Shot in the Head?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only song we'll play.
All right.
Honestly, we should.
You'll do straight up like different dub versions of the song, like remix versions and stuff like that with like I don't know, like fucking I don't know, Chavez can like go on there and do like a few remixes of it and stuff like that, It'd be sick.
We're doing a reunion, and Skrillex is gonna be there.
Oh, cool.
He's gonna do like a remix of Shot in the Head.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean that.
So lyrically, it's a pretty ridiculous song. But that's what Weekend Nachos is about. Is like pulling from all of those like really the deepest you can go when it comes to like just manic like hatred and violence, and putting it into a band that anybody that wants to come out and let that out, that's what it's there for, and musically that song is also very, I mean, it was like the fan favorite, that's like you said, like that's the song that you would get like a black eye or your tooth knocked out to, it's like I don't know if your sound's working again.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. But like that's kind of like what, like I said, like what Weekend Nachos was about. It's like, you could have a band like Hatebreed or Madball or Marauder, and like all of these bands are kind of seen as like tough guy bands, kind of, and it fits the idea that you're going to go to those shows and get your ass beat,
For sure.
Weekend Nachos was definitely like, we didn't have that image. We were just a bunch of nerds, and like, I mean, I literally can't beat up anybody. It doesn't matter who it is, I'll lose, we aren't tough guys, but it's like, that's the band where it's like, let's all get very, very stupid for like 15 minutes,
For sure.
And it's like, it's not violence in the sense where it's like, oh, well, all of these dudes are like scary. It's more like, it's violence where it's like, we are all fucking nuts. Like everybody at this show is just like out of their mind right now. And this needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to happen. Somebody might get hurt, but like this needs to happen right now for a lot of people, including us. And that's what it's there for, and Shot in the Head is like the epitome of that.
Absolutely.
It's like that song being played at a Weekend Nacho show. It's like, that's when, let's say that like people were bored, all of a sudden we play that song. It's like, oh yeah, we figured it. We figured out why we came out tonight. It's like, I'm gonna hit somebody now.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think Shot in the Head to me is like definitely a top Nachos track. I just think like, I don't know. I just think like when I look back on it, and if I look at it like not as like necessarily like as a fan or like someone that's seen you guys, if I was just reading that text,
and I was like a parent, I'd be concerned. Like I'd be concerned. I mean, most of the songs on this record for sure. I would say Nacho's lyrics probably in general, but specifically everything about this record. Like you've got some Ansel Adams fucking like covers after this, you know, but like this here is like pretty gruesome stuff. So if I was a parent, like I would be.
It's like a punk version of like Antichrist Superstar or something. You know, like obviously like, you know, maybe only 10,000 people heard the Unforgivable as opposed to like millions for Marilyn Manson, you know?
For sure.
But it's like the type of thing like, let's say your kid that's like 14 brings that record home, you know? Obviously he would have to be into like underground punk to know what Weekend Nachos is. But like, regardless, there's no difference. Like your parents are going to be just as fucking concerned about that as they would be about like, you know, a Rage Against the Machine or a Marilyn Manson album, you know?
Definitely. All right. So just to get close to closing this out, let's talk about just Unforgivable. I didn't know that song was written in the studio. Did you guys feel like you needed a song like at the end of the record to really like tie everything up? Like what was the reason for that in writing in the studio?
I had the lyrics. I knew we had already decided what the album was going to be called, and I had the lyrics. I had the song written, right? So I knew it was the only song that hadn't been written, right? So I had these lyrics. I'm like, I was thinking like an artist at that point. Like, this is the song that's going to bring it all together. It's going to close it out. Needs to be written. The song actually started with me going into, instead of Brian, I went and sat down on the drums and I just played the drums to this song. Like, it's just the same beat the whole time. It doesn't change at all. Mm-hmm. Except there's like a part where there's like a little build up in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's just drums. That's how it started. And then I had this idea. We kind of ripped off like a Sun riff for it, but I had this idea for like a riff that would go over it. And then all that noise and shit that's at the beginning was added later. But yeah, the song, I had the lyrics. And we just did it. But it's a really important song. I mean, it's the most important song on that album. And probably the most disturbing, I would say. Like, even more so than Shot in the Head. Just because, like, Unforgivable, the song, is not ignorant. You know, mm-hmm. It doesn't have that, like, ignorant feel where it's like, oh, shit, like, he's trying to piss people off, you know? That's more like, what is fucking wrong?
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's... And that song is, like, we opened with it at our last show. First time we ever played it live was our last show.
Yeah.
It never was played live. It was always just a studio track until the last show.
It was incredible. You know, it was incredible to see. And like, I think that lyrically, that song's like, it's not as descriptive as like a Rejected Psychopath or Shot in the Head. But it's real dark. Like, it's a real dark song.
Yeah, there's no narrative to that song.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, some other songs, like, you kind of like it's like you see a story being told almost.
For sure.
There's no story being told with that song. It's just the end of the rope.
It's it. Yeah, that's it. You know, and the record's done, and it ties everything together from 2009 to Unforgivable. It just kind of ties it all in, and, you know, and that's it. That's your parting gift, right? It's that last track. Yeah, this record's fucked up, dude. I don't know what to tell you. This record's fucked up, man.
Man.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about was really just more so about like maybe a few shows that you guys did around this time or tours that kind of stood out. So like specifically, I know I've heard the infamous story of the record release show where you took a 24-pack bottle of like water bottles and you threw it and hit some poor person in the fucking head, and caused some serious problems there. But like, yeah, have like any like big kind of like highlight gigs for supporting this record specifically? Because obviously Bleed came out like the following year. I think it was, right? Was it 2010 that came out? So, yeah. So I mean, the time period of you playing just Unforgivable, you know, just supporting that was like not as long. Was there anything that kind of stood out from then?
Well, first of all, the water bottle thing was not at our record release show. That was when we played with Earth Crisis at Reggie's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I remember the reason I did that. I was just like, this fucking show, man. Why? You know, we're playing with Earth Crisis, and I think like maybe Thick as Blood. Remember that metalcore mosh band? I think it was like.
Oh, they were from Florida. They were from Florida.
Yeah. It was like Thick as Blood and Earth Crisis or something. We got asked to play the show, and I was like, of course.
What a gig.
What a gig, right? And I was thinking like, okay, this is like fucking like basketball jersey hardcore or whatever, you know. But
wait. Basketball jersey hardcore by the band that made basketball jerseys. 2 versions of it. So don't like try to separate yourself, okay?
You motherfucker, let me tell you something. I'm standing up for this. I don't know why. I'm like sick of sitting down. Dude, we made basketball jerseys, and what is on that jersey? It is Freddy Krueger wearing a tank top. So, like, you're not going to tell me that we made basketball jerseys? Like, dude, we made basketball jerseys with Freddy Krueger wearing a tank top on them. Like, that's the image. It doesn't say, like, Cabal 317 fucking 69, you know, whatever. It doesn't say, you know, Earth Crisis, you know, Recycle or whatever. Dude, it's got a picture of Freddy Krueger wearing a tank top. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the mic on that one.
Whatever. All right. So
Yeah.
You hit some poor asshole on the fucking head with a 24 pack of water bottles.
Oh yeah, I just thought that would be like a really, really fucking out there thing to do, and I was feeling it. It wasn't contrived. I was just like, whoa, a case of water. I'm gonna throw it off the stage because we're playing with Thick as Blood and Earth Crisis, you know.
Yeah.
Hoping it would hit somebody, and I think it did.
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone getting hurt though. Like
I think the person passed away. I think there was like a benefit show, and yeah, it was like a big deal, man. So I don't know. Roses for them. Roses for them. Any other gigs that like stick out like that from the period?
Well, the thing with us getting the shirt stapled to us, like that was like a week before Maryland Death Fest, and that's like right when Unforgivable came out.
Okay, so hold up, just so that we do like a check here. I think that this story definitely needs to be told. This is going to be the last thing that we talk about, though, specific to the record, because it's so good. I don't think there's anything else that we can top with it. So go ahead and tell us the story about the time you got a set list stapled to your chest.
All right. Well, we were playing at Doug's Rock House in Aurora, Illinois. It was a fest called Midwest Fuck Fest. It was like there was a lot of like death metal and like gore grind bands on it, you know. Dude that set it up was super nice, you know. He wanted to have us out for it, but we definitely didn't feel like it made much sense for us to be at it, you know. Definitely wasn't like a hardcore show. It was like, it's just kind of weird. It's actually where I met Ethan from Primitive Man.
Oh, really?
His band, Clinging to the Trees of I'm like I've loved this band for so long. I'm like blanking on like what they're fucking called. Clinging to the Trees of a Forest Fire. They were awesome. Primitive Man, like doom shit. That's tuned to like.
I haven't heard. I have to check it out because I really like.
They were fucking fantastic. I saw them like 2 or 3 times. They were awesome. Definitely see if you can find something by them. Yeah. Clinging to the Trees of a Forest Fire is what they were called. So they played this thing too, and that's how I met Ethan. But anyway, so there was this other band. I'm not going to name who it is, but they were like kind of like an SOD-ish like thrash band, but like kind of meets like G.G. Allen, sort of just like shock rock, sort of.
Yeah.
The dude that was singing was like stapling dollar bills to his chest and like breathing fire. It was actually awesome.
Sounds like a good.
They were sick, dude. I remember at the time I was like, fuck these guys. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, dude, me now seeing that, I'd be like, these guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, so they played, and they had a shirt, like a hoodie that had like a guy with a thumbs up that said, "It's not rape, it's surprise sex."
Jeez.
Like that's what it was, and like, you know, say what you want about like Weekend Nachos being offensive or like pissing people off or whatever. Like, there's always been like a line for me when it comes to like coming from punk, coming from hardcore, coming from a place that's like, it's very inclusive, you know, and you know, it's not a place that I don't want, you know, women, you know, people of color, that, you know, anybody to feel unwelcome or in danger.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you know, like I just got this urge to call this band out because it was just like, fuck this shit. Like, I don't, you know, it just wasn't sitting well with me at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we play like probably like 3 or 4 bands after them. And, you know, I called them out. That's plain and simple. I was just like, you know, if you have no substance in your band and you need to rely on like insisting, you know, making it seem like it's okay to rape women, like, fuck you, you know, like, get the fuck out, right? Get the fuck out, right? So these dudes are like literally 7 times our size.
Yeah.
You know, they're like built like fucking football players. Like, these guys they could have killed me, you know, easily. And they cornered us after the show, and they were like, you know, fuck you saying, you know, all that stuff. And I was just like, I said it. You know, you saw me say it. What's up? And they were like, you know, if you don't like take that shit back or apologize, like, we're gonna beat your fucking ass. And I was like, you know, I don't want to ever get beat up. I have narrowly escaped getting beaten up a few times, and like, I'm happy about that, you know, like, no one wants to be in the hospital, so that's great. I'm happy I'm here talking to you about it, and that I did not get beat up that night. But, you know, I'm like not gonna last in a fight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not gonna happen. So, you know, they're asking us to take this shit back, and I'm just like, there's no reason. Like, I obviously said it knowing that you're standing right there. You know, did I not think that you were going to come over and talk to me about it? Of course you are, you know? So we didn't apologize. I basically told him to fuck off. And the dude starts stapling that, you know, that hoodie to my shoulder with the staple gun that he was using. And did the same to Drew. And we were just like, oh, fuck, like, what are you doing? They're like literally stapling shirts to us with the staple gun. And, you know, that's pretty painful, you know?
Yeah.
So we are like kind of scared, you know, that these dudes are going to beat our ass, whatever. But the security of the venue like rushed over. And these are all like a bunch of old metal dudes with like white beards, literally. And they're like just old like motorcycle dudes that are just like, they're just chilling, you know?
Yeah.
They're the security at this venue. They come over and, you know, rescue us. Literally, they like, we got our merch and gear packed up, and they like rushed us out the door, and we just left. These dudes wanted to fuck us up.
Could have died.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could, you know, realistically, I could have gotten like a broken jaw or like, you know.
I think the moral of it though, like the moral of the whole thing, and I think which really like ties into the unforgivable aspect of it is that like, especially because you guys are playing Unforgivable, it's just sort of like, you know, you and Nachos as a whole had like a certain purpose and served a certain purpose and didn't back down from that. And it didn't matter like being like physically threatened, nothing. Like you had your convictions and you stuck to them. And even in the face of like adversity and people pushing back on you guys, or maybe losing some fans or not getting paid for a night or whatnot, it didn't matter because like it was about kind of standing firm with like what your convictions were. X standing firm, X, you know. So
I mean, there was like, you know, at our last show I said something about this, but like, you know, there's always been divisions in punk and hardcore. You know, like there's always been like, you know, so and so saying like, oh well, you're racist, or like you're a homophobe, or like you shouldn't say this. And like I've always been more about like just having like if you're not going to tolerate like that behavior and people feeling unwelcome in like something like punk or hardcore, like it's not as simple as just like saying shit, you know, like
Yeah.
literally don't tolerate it, you know. If
Yep.
somebody is being a dick, then call them out and or throw them out, or like stand up for the people that are in trouble, you know, like be there for the little guy.
Yep.
You know, and like if you see like a woman being treated with disrespect at a hardcore show by some fucking asshole, or like, you know, you see somebody that's like, you know, like making fun of somebody for being gay at a hardcore show, it's like that's not what this is. You know,
Yeah.
this is not the place for that. And like, you know, it's not the place for that shit anywhere. But you know, I always had this mentality like this is mine, you know, like punk and hardcore like is mine, and I'm not gonna be here if this is what it's like.
For sure.
So you either make it what you can make it, or, and that goes for other shit too. That goes for people being bullied at shows, or people, you know, being like threatened at shows, or like, you know, somebody thinking that they're more important than somebody else. It goes for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But you can't just say this isn't allowed. Like you have to be able to say like, I will make sure this is not allowed. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to fucking do it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like where that came from. And like, it's kind of moot at this point, because like we did this at like a weird metal fest, you know, but it's like, that's kind of like our way of like bringing in like us coming from punk and hardcore. Like we're bringing that into that environment, you know?
It wasn't like a chameleon. You guys need to just blend into like whatever environment you were. You just were what you were and brought, you know, your, you know, whatever you felt, whatever your convictions were as like a band, whatever ethics that kind of made the band, like that never changed on like the bill that you guys played. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, you know, there's that whole being in the middle of that kind of controversy, like kind of followed us a few times, like throughout the time we were a band.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
definitely plenty of these types of stories.
And it's like, look, it's like there's silence in the room. This shit's going on. Like somebody's got to step in and try to do something about it, you know? And like, I've just never been the type of person that's comfortable not being that person if no one else is going to fucking do it, you know? So
definitely.
Very glad I didn't get my ass beat that night.
Honestly, I think you would have learned a thing or two about it. You know what I mean? I
definitely learned that, you know, if there is a God, he was on my side that night for sure. Saved my fucking ass.
Yeah.
No regrets though. I mean, like you really shouldn't say something on a stage if you're not prepared for somebody to come over and bitch at you about it, or you know, nobody deserves to get beat up for speaking their mind, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to know who you're talking shit about.
Exactly. Yeah. You've
prepared
for any and all outcomes. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, that story I think would be a good kind of closing point for Unforgivable. And just to give people perspective, this was a lot longer than we wanted it to be. I think we had talked about just doing like a 40-minute cap. Personally, I think we probably should have tried to stick closer to the 40-minute cap, but who cares? I honestly don't think anybody's going to look and watch like the hour and a half of this bullshit. However,
I hope they don't, man.
Again, like, this was like not like a super planned deal. It was just more of like a candid conversation of this record specifically. John and I have been friends for a long time and figured this would be kind of fun to kind of do. I'm not fucking Barbara Walters or anything like that. So like, I just kind of
look like Barbara Walters, buddy.
I'm going kind of just going off the cuff here, but yeah, maybe we would do another one. Maybe we won't. I don't know. I have no expectations or whatever. So, and honestly, like, I don't think I'd want to talk to you again about anything. So I think this is all she wrote, but yeah. So, yeah. Good. Oh, John, I was going to tell you this other thing.